Really, what is talking?
Okay, awesome. Yeah, hello everyone. Hello Kumasi. I've only been to Ghana once, and I went to Accra. So it's an awesome country, and I'm a Nigerian. So I from the northern part of the country. So it's a pleasure to be speaking to you all and also be sharing knowledge about Git and how you can be good developers. Now, so basically my background, I'm a software developer, but I'm more into DevOps, especially the cloud native ecosystem now, things like building high available and scalable infrastructure. Yeah, I'm not currently in Nigeria, I'm currently in the Netherlands. I'm working from home in the Netherlands, but I do visit Nigeria once in a while. So I think most of you already have my Twitter handle. I've been noticing quite a lot of activity in preparation for this talk, but in case you don't have it yet, you can follow me for updates and a lot of other things. It's Sarki247. That is SARKI 247. So awesome. Let me share my screen so that we'll start. Awesome. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, I'll be in this session. I'll be spending the next 50 minutes with you, sharing with you an introduction to Git and GitLab. What exactly is Git? Why do you need to use it as developers? And how will it benefit you in your day-to-day activities? So basically, we'll be looking at introduction to GitLab with Git basics. And it's in two parts. This training is in two parts. I'll be sharing this presentation with you subsequently because there is quite a lot of resources in it. We might not be able to cover all of them in the 1 hour we have, but so that you can proceed with the rest of the sessions, I'll be sharing them with you. Then basically, it's going to be a workshop setup where I'll do some introductions, then we'll ask questions, then we'll do some practical live using Git and also using GitLab. I've been told by Noah that most of you have already installed Git on your systems, and just hopefully we are ready. And Noah, I don't know if you all have internet access in case we want to push or pull, but if we don't, we'll try to improvise as much as we can. Yeah, before we start, I would like to ask show of hands, though I'm not necessarily seeing your screen, but Noah can help me count. How many of you are programmers? Noah, can you help me count?
Yeah, I can, yes. So yeah, they said how many of you are programmers? Show by hand.
Already programming, writing codes?
Already coding, writing codes? No. Please show by hand now. If you have... All right, so you have one person.
Okay, so no problem. So I will try as much as possible to be as less technical as possible so that at least we can all be able to grasp all the things that is happening. So basically our agenda here is to learn what exactly is Git, what is GitLab, and also have a walkthrough of what you can do with GitLab. Now, the hands-on we'll be doing, we'll be using the GitLab SaaS interface directly online. We will not be using any training server. This was a previous presentation that was used for a defense training. Now, what is Git? Now, A bit about the history of Git. Git started along with the history of Linux operating system itself. We all know Linus Torvalds started the Linux operating system in Finland when he was a student. Then he open sourced it, and different people within the community started contributing. But contributions involved sending mails back and forth of different changes that were made, which was not sustainable. So Linus came up with the idea of having a version control system where different changes that are being made to the work that people are doing, the code they are writing, and everything they are doing in terms of Linux itself can be easily tracked. We can have different versions of the different changes that have been happening to the system, and it can easily be distributed. So that means different people in different parts of the world can contribute to the same code base without necessarily having to be sending things to each other. Now, what is a version control system? Now, let's imagine most of us are comfortable with Microsoft Word, Excel. Imagine a situation where you are constantly typing your project or your thesis, and you keep making changes to the document continuously and continuously. It's very difficult for you to say, okay, I want to go back to the way this document was 2 days ago, or I want to see the different changes that we have made to the document, or I want to understand how a particular change affected a part of the document, and so on and so forth. So that's what version control system brings. It allows you to be able to have different versions of your code, and you can be able to identify, okay, who made what change, who changed what in the system, who implemented a feature, and you can easily go back and forth within the version control system. Aside Git, there is Mercurial, there is SVN. There are other different types of version control system. Now, one of the ways that a version control system like Git allows you to be able to work effectively in a distributed environment is, imagine a situation where you are working on an assignment as a group and everybody has to contribute their own parts to the project. So you all share an empty document and a part of the project to work on for each member of the team. Then everybody contributes their own part and add it up to form a single document before submission. It's the same thing with the way version control works with Git. Let's say you have a project and you are making changes to them. You can create what we call branches, a copy of your work to do something different or to add a new information to it. Once you are done, you can merge it back into the main work. So that's the concept around branching, where Git gives you the ability to be able to create multiple copies of the work you are doing, and subsequently at the end of the day, you can merge them together to form one whole copy. And Git allows it's fast, it's reliable. Almost everyone around the world today is using Git. It's even quite difficult as a developer to be able to function properly in the modern world now if you don't know how to use Git or any other version control system. But for Git that we are looking at here, there are different ways to use it now, and it's the most popular. So the official website of Git is git-scm.com. That's where you can get all the necessary resources, the command line binaries, and everything you need to use it effectively. Then, for Git to be as effective as possible, you can't just install Git in your system and be doing your work and expect the distributed part of Git is not there if the code is only on your system. But if you want to collaborate with your colleagues or with other people around the world, the way open source has grown now, you need a place to be able to store your work online. So and that's where GitLab comes in. So GitLab is an online Git hosting platform. We are more than just a Git hosting platform these days, just like GitHub and Bitbucket, Git, and a couple of other ones. So what they do is, when I start a project, for example, I can put all the skeletal information, all the details about it, the first code, push it to a Git repository like GitLab. Then other people around the world can then see that project, they like the project, they make their own copies of the project, then contribute their parts to it. Then once they've seen that, okay, this copy of theirs will be more beneficial to the main one that everyone is copying from, then they will now send a request. You can call it a merge request or a pull request to now merge their own copy with my own, which is the master copy. So that is the way open source works. Everyone works on their own local copy and uploads it to the master copy that is online so that everyone else can be able to benefit from it. So that is where Git repositories like GitLab, GitHub comes in, allowing you to host things online. And we all know situations around live fire incident, your laptop can be stolen and a lot of other things. Even if you are not contributing to code with others, you can store your own personal code online or your work online, not necessarily code, so that you can be able to do a lot of things with it. But GitLab takes this a step further. You know, when you write your code, you need to be able to upload it online. Maybe you've designed a very beautiful website and you are using something like cPanel. You need to log into cPanel, go to File Manager, upload your website. Now, anytime you make new changes, you have to go to cPanel again and upload. But with something like GitLab, the whole SDLC, that is the software development life cycle, that is from you having an idea to you discussing the idea with your teammates, to writing the codes, to agreeing on the way the idea will be implemented, to writing the codes that are necessary to implement the idea, to you testing out, okay, this code I've written, are they good? Are they secure? Are they reliable? To now uploading your work online. Everything now can be done within GitLab. So that's what we mean by it encompasses the entire software development lifecycle. You don't necessarily need a separate tool to be able to now say, okay, I have to create my ideas on paper or somewhere, emails to my teams back and forth, then come back, write code, then use another tool to now upload. You have to download it from Git before you upload. No, it goes beyond that. And that is where things like issues come in. Issues are like the way we post on Facebook and people make comments to our post. It's the same way issues are. You have an idea, you create an issue. Then your teammates can comment, all of you can discuss around the issues. But when you now have a lot of people creating issues, you need to be able to identify probably which issues are for design, which issues are for backend, which issues are for the graphics team, and so on. That is where issue boards comes in. So issue boards allows you to be able to now group your issues into the different categories or different parts of the company they belong to. And you can move them, you can transition them from as you work on them or as your team works on them. So that means from just an idea to, okay, working on it, to done or to testing and so on. So, and there's code review. Code review is, let's say you have a senior person within your team who is very good at coding and you want him to look at your code first before it goes out to online for it to be deployed online. That's where code reviews comes in. You can call a colleague using what we call a merge request. When you push your code, he'll be able to look at your code, make comments to it, help you make some adjustment and give you clarification on how things are before it goes. Then we have continuous integration. Continuous integration is where you've written your code but you are confident the code should work. But we all know situations arises whereby probably you mistakenly added a bug, you didn't know you missed a semicolon, or there's a runtime error that you might not see within your code, but when it's executing, it might fail. That is where continuous integration comes in. Continuous integration is an automated way of you compiling your code, testing it to make sure everything is fine before you continue. Now, if you need to be doing all this manually, it's going to be hectic and you'll be wasting a lot of time. That is why automated tools now help you. You just write the code. Continuous CI, that's continuous integration, will help you check anytime how things are. Now imagine a company like Facebook or Google or GitLab. In GitLab, we have 1,500 employees, and a huge percentage of us are engineers. Now imagine thousands of people writing codes at the same time and pushing and pushing. If they waste a lot of time trying to check for semicolons and fix bugs, the company will lose a lot of money. But when you use continuous integration, you are able to now test run your code and check a lot of things around it. There are even some situations where people mistakenly put passwords inside their code. CI, if well implemented, can help you identify, oh, you forgot and you added a password to your code. It's better you remove it so that someone else will not see it. Then there's continuous delivery. You know, I was giving an example the other time that when you design your website, you need to now probably zip it, upload it, or use FTP to upload it to a server or a cPanel server you have. That's a manual process. Now imagine hundreds of you in a company are writing code, and do you have to wait for everyone every time to finish before you compile and upload manually? You can automate the process where as soon as all your tests in CI, that's continuous integration, has passed, that means there's no error, there's no runtime error, there's no passwords that have mistakenly gotten into the code. It should just push it automatically to the server and let it go live for everyone to see. Now, then we have what we call continuous delivery and continuous deployment. When someone has to manually click for the code, maybe for some reason, there's the CTO or the chief engineer within your company wants to check first, is this thing is supposed to go live before it goes live? That is continuous delivery. That means there's a step that needs to be done manually before the code goes live. Then there's continuous deployment. It just goes straight. Just anytime all the tests have passed, etc., it just goes online. And a host of other features. Yeah, this can be a lot, but I always tell people in such technical sessions like this that take notes, pick things down that you might not understand, then look further into them after the session. And thankfully, I'm recording this this training. So at the end, you can rewatch everything that I've mentioned here or that we've discussed so that you can explore it further. Now, at GitLab, we release new features every month. That's every 22nd of the month is new set of release, new set of features coming in. Since we started, there's not been 1 month that we've missed, and it keeps going. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the entire DevOps lifecycle. DevOps is the mixture of development, that is writing your code, and operations, that means taking your code online. Imagine software development lifecycle is the entire process of you writing your code, testing it, deploying it, monitoring to make sure everything is fine. Then, if there's any issue, you start again. You understand? To make sure your system never breaks. Now, and we've broken it at GitLab into manage, plan, create, verify, package, secure, release, configure, monitor, and protect. Manage is where, as a team, you all can come up and decide, okay, we want to build this new cool chatting feature on our website. Then you all come together and decide, okay, this is how we intend to do it. Then you go to the plan stage to say, okay, let's now discuss what are the different features in them, how are we going to implement them, who is going to do it, etc. Then the create is where you actually write the code, you write all the things that are necessary for your project to work. Then we move to verify. Verify is the continuous integration CI I mentioned the other time. After you've written all this your code, you will need to ensure that it will work, it will be able to handle any load that is thrown at it, it will function, it won't break unnecessarily, and there are no bugs, and it's accessible probably for, if you are trying to target people that are color blind, is it accessible to them? If you are targeting mobile users, is it accessible to them? All this, you'll be able to do it under the verify stage. In the package stage, if you need to compile or you need to package it in such a way that it will be able to easily deploy to your server or the kind of server you're using, then the next thing is you need to do, you make sure it's secure. Imagine you working in a bank and you write a code, and because of probably the mistakes you did or something inside, people are able to hack the software you've built. That's going to be devastating. That is where secure comes in, where you can, the system, GitLab can automatically help you check all the different features that you've implemented. Are they okay? When they are under stress, they work fine? All the necessary license you're supposed to accept, have they been accepted? Are there mistakes or softwares you've used inside your code that have vulnerability that is known? GitLab will tell you all of that. Then you release it. That means you deploy it to the server. GitLab can help you with that. Then you configure, even after you've deployed, you still need to be able to be checking, okay, is it running fine? Is everything good? And to be able to protect from unnecessary people trying to hack into your solution. So that is where GitLab covers the whole software development lifecycle. Yeah, this is quite a lot of features. So what I'll do now is to show you around what GitLab looks like. Now, our main website is gitlab.com. gitlab.com. I'm already logged in. Let me log out so that I'll try it again so that you see what the website looks like when you are not logged in. This is what it looks like, gitlab.com. And there's one beautiful thing about GitLab is we have the paid version, we have the free version, and we have the online version. The free version, which is the community version, is where you as a community or as a school or as a company want to host your own GitLab within your company. There's a community one where you can do free of charge, be getting updates. It's open core. We call it open core. That means people are contributing to our code, so we are also giving back to the community. Then we have the enterprise version where different companies, huge companies, can use a lot more complicated features that they have to pay for. Then we have the online version, the SaaS, that's software as a service version, where you can log in, create an account. I believe most of you will have created an account by now, who need it as part of this training. And you can create accounts with different means. That means you can either fill the form manually, or you can use your Google account or Twitter account or any other accounts that is listed here that you have. Now, I have my own accounts already. But before I log in, is there any questions? Am I too fast? Should I slow down? Do you understand most of what I've said? Noah, are you there? You're muted. I can't hear you, Noah. Or should I just proceed? I think I'll just proceed then. I can't hear you. I hope you all are still with me.
Yeah, can you hear now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Any questions from anyone?
Okay. Okay, no question right now.
Okay.
So you can proceed. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. No problem then. So, awesome. The next thing here is I'll be logging in with my Gmail account. Clicking Gmail here, I have several accounts attached to this, my personal email. Now, then there's 2FA. My account has 2FA enabled. I have two types of 2FA enabled. I have the one where I use a key, a UB key. I don't know if you can see it clearly here, but you'll be able to see it later in the video. I have a UB key, something like this, where I can attach to my system, where it will now authenticate me. Then, but in situations where it's not close to me, I can use a two-factor authentication that is generated randomly every time to log in. Let me grab the code. So it is always advisable for you when you set up your account to put two-factor authentication to it so that other people don't hack your account. Almost all your online credentials is advisable for you to do this so that even if someone gets your password, they won't be able to enter into your account. Now, this is the way my own GitLab looks like, but yours might be slightly different. So mine, as soon as I log in, I will see all my to-dos, things I'm supposed to do that have been assigned to me to do. So you have here, under the GitLab logo, you have the projects menu where you can see the different projects that you belong to, or you can explore different projects within GitLab that different people have been contributing to GitLab. Then there's what we call groups. Groups is where maybe like RailsGirls Kumasi now can decide to form a group among themselves where they have different members join and they can all work on the same project within the group or different projects. Companies can also use groups. And there are a host of other features that you can use here. You also see here the new project button where you can create a brand new project that you want to use to upload your code online. So first, we'll do a little practical session now. I don't know if you all are ready. One thing we'll do now is one of the major things you need to be able to do on your GitLab account is to be able to set up SSH keys. This is a feature where you can easily push your code online and down without having to enter your password every time. You'll see how it works later. But for us all to be able to do that, are we ready for 5-10 minutes practical, everyone? Probably you can turn on the camera now so that I can walk you all through it and we can do it together. I'll be sharing the link to this slide so that you all can see it later.
All right.
Sorry, you said it's not showing anything?
Yeah, I'm coming.
Okay.
Let's see how this goes.
Thankfully, I'm recording though, so it's okay.
Sure.
Do we all have our GitLab accounts?
Do you have it? You have your accounts, right? Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. So the first thing we'll do is this. Have they been able to log into GitLab?
Yeah, they are logging in.
Okay. Once you log into GitLab, the next thing you see is at the top right corner of the screen. Is my screen small or should I let me zoom? Let me zoom just so that people will see clearly.
Okay, Sadiq.
Yes.
Yeah, can you pause for a second so they get their stuff? Some people are signing in, so they can
Okay,
be on.
okay, no problem.
So I'll let you
Sure.
up.
Sure.
Okay, so you can log in now. Into your account.
If you have your personal hotspot, share it with your machine so that we can move faster. If you are relying on the network, everybody here is using it, you'll find yourself, oh, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. So you just share it with your machine, your password, nobody has it. So you share your phone hotspot with your machine so that we all can move faster. Don't worry, we won't take much of your day. If your machine is not auto, or how you call it, auto updates. Some of you, the last time you update your machine.
The last time they did it.
Yes. So you share the hotspot and start to run. This one when you were using.
Okay.
So
Are you ready
to start? Are we all on track?
Really?
Please share your hotspot with your machine.
Sadiq, yeah, okay.
No problem.
So what do you need? There are coaches around. You can write somebody. It just basically log into using your user story to log into your account. The email you use to register or to open this account, that can be your username. Or probably you are using that you have a username that you can remember, you can also use that. Please, are we on there?
We continue. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's internet can really be a mess, and I think it's best for us so that at least we can be able to get as much benefit from this as possible to just proceed, and you can then rewatch the videos later and explore at your own leisure time. As I was saying earlier, one of the major things that you need to do when setting up your GitLab account is to set up SSH keys. So how you can do that is we have different ways depending on the type of system you're using. So if you are using, I'm using a Mac, so I can easily generate it and copy it from this path here. But if you are using Linux, you can, it's a different way for you to copy, or you can, if you are using Windows, this is how you can do it. So there's also instructions here on how you can generate your own SSH key so that you can easily authenticate. So there is a lot more description on what do you need the SSH key for, and why you need it to integrate with GitLab. So you can, I'll share this link as part of the email I'll be sending to Noah so that you all can have access to all these resources. Yeah, there will be a ton of information that will be shared with you all, but the idea is for you to have all the resources for you to learn yourself and be able to explore further. So now, like I said earlier, you go to profile settings, you go to SSH keys, you paste your key there, you give it a meaningful title, and you click add key. So basically that's it. So now, before we go into Git proper, we've looked at what GitLab is, and we don't have much time. Yeah, so a quick question, Noah. Is 6 o'clock a hard stop, or we can take 5-10 minutes within 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Is 6 o'clock a hard stop, or we can still get 5-10 minutes within 6 p.m.?
Yeah, 5-10 minutes will be okay.
Okay, no problem. So I will not try to waste too much time so that we can be able to move faster. Now,
Okay,
it requires, for you to be able to understand how Git works, it's important to understand the different terms and the different terminologies within around Git. The first is the local repo. When you are using Git and the local copy of your work that is on your system is called a local repo. That is, you started your work and you initiated it with Git. The one on your system locally is a local repo. Now, then the one you push on a server like GitLab, you push it online, is the remote, the upstream. It's remote, the upstream. That is where you have your copy of your code online. Now, untracked files are when you are creating new files, but you've not told Git to monitor them for changes and be able to help you track how changes are happening to them. Then the working area, you see, we have untracked files. That means you created new files, but you've not asked Git to start monitoring them. The next one, when you now tell Git that, okay, you're monitoring these files, but I've made changes to it, is the working area. You've made changes to some files, but you've not committed them to Git that, okay, I've made these changes, help me save them into your memory. That's the working area. Then the staging area is you've made changes to your files, you've added new files, but you now want to tell Git that, okay, these files that I've modified or added, track them for me, monitor them for me. That is where the staging area is. Then the next thing is a branch. Like I was explaining earlier, is you've been working on your project and your code continuously. Then for one reason, you need to probably build a new feature or a new line in that work you're doing while still maintaining the main one. That is where you create a branch. You create that branch to be able to now work, add new features separately, so that at the end of the day, you might decide that that new branch or that new line that you've created should now go back into the main one. Now, and the main branch is usually called master. Most of it is being named into main now, or the trunk if you are exploring other types of version control system. That's the main one that whenever everybody works, they still go back to compiling their work into the master branch. Then we have the fork fork, which is when someone decides to make a copy of the entire work for themselves to be able to either work on separately or make contributions to, test, and later match back to the main one. Then, when you finished working separately on the branch, you need to merge it together to the main one, the master one. That is when you merge two branches together. It might be the master, it might be any other one. And this is how it usually works. When you have your directory, your files, you add files using a command called git add. Then it moves it to the staging area. Then from the staging area, it now commits it to the local repo you have in the system, as you saw earlier. Then once you are done, you now want to upload your code. It uses git push to now push your code online to the remote repo so that other people can have access to it. Now, let's look at the way it works again using this workflow. We have the local part and we have the remote part. Now, let's say, for example, you decide to copy here. This time we call it clone. You decide to clone a project online onto your system, which is the working area. Most times you will copy from a remote location like GitLab or GitHub. That is why this arrow comes here. From the remote to your working area. Or you decide to start a new project using Git init. Git init is how you tell that, okay, this project is you want to use Git to monitor, to track the changes. Then you make the changes you want, you git add, and it goes to your staging area. Then when you are done adding all the files you want, you can git commit, just like you are doing Control S for save. Then once you are done, you can then git push to put online, to upload. Git push is like upload. Then git fetch is to download new changes back to your own local copy. Then from your own local copy, you can decide to either create a branch using git checkout, and when you are done, or when you fetch new changes, you can git merge so that you have a copy of whichever one that you are trying to get the new changes from. Now, without wasting too much time, I will share this with you so that you can explore all these details and learn more about all the different internals of Git and how things work, how you can configure the Git clients to work, how you can add your SSH keys like we saw earlier. Then the next thing is how do you work on a project? So I'll be doing a demo now. You can review all this later, but I'll move straight to a demo to now show you, okay, how do you start a new GitLab project? How do you add content to it? How do you push online? How do you fetch new changes? And so on and so forth. So I'll be switching my window now to a terminal, so it will be easy. Now, well, first, let me create a new GitLab project. Let me go back to again here, GitLab. Then let me go to, there are different ways. You can decide to go to explore projects here and click on new project, or you can come up here to the button at the top, click on new and add new project. I can give it a name, RailsGirls Kumasi. Now, I'll make it public by default. I'll initialize the repository with a README. Then I'll click on create project. Yeah, like I said earlier, if I'm too fast, this is being recorded and I'll share it with you all to be able to explore it further. And as you can see here, my project has been created, RailsGirls Kumasi, and you have different features here. You see by the left, you have the options for repository where you can see your files, your commits, and so on, and a host of other features. Then here you have all the different options to create a README file, to add different configurations to your project. But for our case here, once you have configured your system to, or installed Git on your system to work, the next thing is for you to now clone. I need to clone this project after I've created it to my system. Because I've configured SSH for my system, I will be able to use this. But if you haven't, you will need to use this option. But this option will always ask you to enter your password. Now, one thing is, if you are using two-factor authentication, like I used earlier, your normal password will not work here because it will want you to enter a 2FA, and that will be difficult in terminal. Then the other thing you can probably do is to get much more complicated. So it's best for you to set up SSH for your account and come here, click on this button to copy the URL that you want to use to clone. Then let me go to my terminal. Yeah, I've increased the size of my terminal so that you can see clearly. Let me see, where am I? PWD. Okay, I'm in my root folder. So let me go to my desktop. Then in my desktop, I now want to copy the project, the RailsGirls Kumasi project that I've created on GitLab Online onto my system. And what I need to do is just to say git clone, then paste the link that I copied earlier. As you can see here, it's git at gitlab.com/RailsGirls-Kumasi.git. Then I press the enter key. This will now communicate with GitLab and retrieve any information that is necessary and pull them down to my system. You will notice here that, let's go to repository and see files. How many files do we have? We only have one. This readme.md. If we go to my desktop now, let me use ls. ls is used to list files. Then in my desktop, I can now see cd Kumasi, that's RailsGirls Kumasi, log into it. Then let me do ls again. You see the same README file that I have on my GitLab interface is the same one I will have here. So, and you see the content of my file. If I click on it, the content of it is just RailsGirls Kumasi. So, and if I go back to terminal and I say cat means display the content of my README. You see, it displayed the RailsGirls Kumasi that is inside my file. Now, README files, most times you will notice the extension here is .md. They use what we call markdown. Markdown can help you to make changes to your files. Now, what I'll now do is I want to make changes to my file. So let me use an editor called Nano so that we can make this as simple as possible. Now, as you can see here, I have the RailsGirls Kumasi. That pound or hash sign is to tell that, okay, that is a heading. Then I will now ask, add a content, workshop by GitLab. Now, once I'm done with this, I will now save. Once I save, I can then use a command called git status to now see what is the state of my project. Git status will show you, for example, it showed me now that I've modified the README file. The next thing I can do is to now add it to be staged, to the staging area. And for me to now save, I need to use git commit and add a message that, okay, this is why I made changes to the file. Added speaker company. And by the time I press this, I have saved it and I've inserted a couple of lines. The next thing for me to do is to then do git push. That means I want to upload now. And once I push this, if I come to GitLab now and I refresh, my changes will reflect here. So that is how easy it is. GitLab also provides you a functionality to be able to edit the same file online using its own editor or web IDE. And this is what it looks like. I'm using the dark mode. That is why things are like this. Let's say here, I decide, okay, by Abubakar from GitLab. I'm making these changes online now. And I click on commit. And I decide to just proceed, add commit here. Now, the next thing, how do I get the changes on my system? You will notice if I check the one on my system, let me do nano, readme, it doesn't have my name there yet. Then the next thing I will need to do is now do git fetch. Git fetch is to download new updates to my system. It has downloaded. Now let me check my file. It still hasn't changed. It's because when you download new changes, it doesn't automatically replace what you have on your system. It will keep it somewhere so that you can then now compare them and match them together. So now the changes I have pulled from online are stored in a place called a branch called origin master. Then what I'll do here is to say git merge origin. That is, origin is changes coming from online master. You should merge it with the current one that I have. Now, if I now decide to check my file, you see that it has changed. So this is just a short summary of how all this using Gitz with GitLab and contributing to open source can be very seamless and easy to do. So I think I'll stop here so that we can have more time. We're already 5 minutes past the time, and we are already into the 5-10 minutes I requested for. But before I go, I would like to invite you all to this GitLab Heroes program that we have. Just like the RailsGirls initiative, you can also become a community organizer or a member for GitLab, where you get access to learning materials, you get 1 or 2 resources to be able to organize meetups around your community and become a thought leader within your community. So I will share the link later, but it's if you go to the main GitLab website or go online and search for GitLab Heroes and sign up to become a GitLab hero, you see the different initiatives that we are doing and all the different programs that we do for all the different communities that we are hosting. I think there's one in Nigeria and there are other countries too. So we are looking forward to getting members from Ghana or Kumasi specifically, especially among our community members. And you get invited to speak on a lot of, anytime there are initiatives online, you can get invited to speak, to share your knowledge, and to learn more. So you can, once you have the time, can apply, and you might as well be one of our newest heroes. I'll be sharing the link with Noah so that you all can explore being a member. So I will stop sharing my screen. I'll stop sharing my screen now so that we can now or probably round up. And if anyone has any questions, we can answer the questions.
All right. Yeah, so thank you so much for the session. Please, who is having a question to ask? If you have a question, kindly move forward. waiting. Yeah, who's having a question? Question time. Anyone having a question? Second. Hello. Yeah, please, anyone having a question? If you do have, okay. Anyone? Yeah, so Abubakar.
Yes.
Yeah, so they don't have any question to ask. I think they are shy. Maybe you have a question to ask them. So you, yeah. So if the person is able to answer, I should be able to give the person a souvenir. So you can go ahead.
Okay. The question I will ask is, what is the meaning of CI/CD? What is the meaning of CI/CD?
So what is the meaning of CI/CD? So, what is the meaning of CI/CD? What is the answer now? Answer. Go to there. Yeah. No. All right, so we have somebody coming to answer. Yeah, over here. Come. Yes. Okay, explanation. You can bring the screen down. Yeah.
I can hear you.
You said CI/CD, right?
Yes.
So it's continuous integration and then continuous delivery.
Yeah, that's correct. It can be continuous delivery or continuous deployment. Round of applause. That's correct.
Any other question? Any other question? Do you have any other questions to ask?
Yeah, no other questions for now.
Oh, okay. All right. So thank you so much for leading this session, and we hope to be in touch. So when we are done, you can share with me the resources, and then I can share with them. Yeah. So I look forward to that.
Okay,
And,
no problem.
what do you have for Abubakar?
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
To be in touch. Bye bye.